current relationship status. Are you single, situationship, relationship? And what is your longest relationship? Go ahead.
I'm currently single. I just got out of a relationship like last week, and my longest relationship was 1.5 years.
Okay, so you just got out of a relationship last week.
Yeah.
How long were you guys dating?
Like a month. It was like a rebound.
From, you said 1.5 years was your longest relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a rebound to that one?
No, so the 1.5 years was like it ended like a year ago, but then my rebound that just ended, it was like a rebound for like a situationship in like December. So it's a rebound of a situationship, which occurred after the long one. Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, good times. Good times. What about you?
So I'm very single. I've actually never been in a relationship, but I've had my fair share of situationships.
Very single and fair share of relationships. Excuse me, situationships. Never been in a relationship. What's the longest period of time that you've dated a guy?
I've never dated per se, but I was seeing someone, I guess, on and off for a good like 4 months.
On and off, 4 months.
Yeah.
Was it ever boyfriend, girlfriend, or
never?
No?
We never put the label on it. We were just seeing each other, and yeah, basically just a situationship. Okay,
besides that one, the 4 month on again, off again thing, what's the longest period of time you say you've continued to see a guy? Maybe obviously it didn't lead to a proper relationship, but what's the longest?
I think honestly that one.
But besides that one, besides the on again, off again one?
Probably another one for about like 2 months.
2 months here, 4 months there.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And so very single. What does that mean? What does very single mean?
I don't know. I've just gotten to college, and all my friends have been in relationships, and I don't know. I'm kind of looking for that a little bit, but I don't think I'm going to find it in Santa Barbara. But
you don't think you're going to find what in Santa Barbara?
A relationship, like a real relationship.
Why is that?
Because all the guys here none of them want that, honestly. They don't really want something real, you know? None
of the guys want something real?
No, I don't think so.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, I'd say, but I don't really want to keep looking for it if no one's going to be willing to, you know?
Okay. We'll come back to that. What about
you? I'm also single, and I like just kind of going off her answer. I've not been in a committed relationship, but I've been committed to a person for about 2 years in the past.
This, I assume, was a high school. Well,
yeah.
It must have been a high school relationship. Yeah. So your longest relationship was 2 years then?
It was a relationship. It was not boyfriend, girlfriend, yeah.
It was a relationship, but not boyfriend, girlfriend.
The same way you and I have a relationship. We just know each other, but there was a romantic energy there, but it was never official. So
a romantic energy. Okay. So you were seeing him for 2 years.
Yeah.
But you weren't boyfriend and girlfriend?
That's correct.
Was this like a pen pal situation, like across the country? You met him playing World of Warcraft or something?
No, it was a friend. That was more than a friend. But
okay,
we just, we never put the label on it. And it just
is that because you didn't want it, or he didn't want it, or both?
He didn't. I would have, but he did not.
But you guys were monogamous.
No.
So it was an open relationship.
I guess technically, but we never really defined it.
2 years? It's a long time.
Yeah. It was the epitome of settling, is what it was.
You settled?
Yes.
How so?
Because I was really into him, and I was like, you know what? He doesn't want to be exclusive, so I'm okay to just like take what I can get, and it's taught me a lot about relationships and what I want in the future.
So, in the moment, though, would you say that you settled? Okay, so you settled for, it was worth it to be with him, even though he wasn't willing to commit to you, it was still worth it to keep him in your life, despite the fact he was not prepared to move things along.
Exactly.
Okay, so was he like exceptionally attractive, babe status?
Yes.
Okay, athlete?
Yes.
How tall was he?
5'10".
Oh, okay. All right.
I have a thing. I just like tall dudes are awesome, but I feel like short guys are kind of where it's at. Like just overall, right. Like I think that better personality and just in my experience, I have enjoyed time spent with shorter guys.
Okay. What about you?
So
closest to the mic, guys.
Sorry, I am currently in a relationship, and I want to say my longest relationship was probably 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that your current one?
No, it's not.
Okay. All right. What about you?
So I actually was married. Together for 11 years, married for 7. So I got divorced about 4 years ago, and I've just been doing me and focusing on me and my son. I've had a few situationships. Just had one recent one. It's not really worth mentioning.
You can mention it.
Nah, we can mention it.
All right.
But the other one before that was a roller coaster for sure. I was like almost 2 years of just on and off, and it was a rebound from my divorce. So in my defense, I was like not really in it, but I kind of wanted to be in it. So it was back and forth. And then this last one has just been a few months. So
you're currently seeing him, or you split?
Oh no, we split.
How long have you been single, so to speak?
3 hours ago.
You guys broke up 3 hours ago.
We ended the situationship about earlier in the day, so yeah.
Good times.
Good times. Good times.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and how long were you seeing him for again?
About 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, not bad.
Why did he dump you?
I actually broke it off.
Okay. Why is that?
It was just time and effort. You know, if you can't give me the basics, we're not there. Sorry, we're not on the same page. So, give me time and effort, communication, like that's cool. We have priorities. Communication is great.
Did y'all split in person, or
no? So I did it over like DMs.
Over DMs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
All right.
It's a taste of their own medicine.
Excuse me.
Is it not?
What is?
Like breaking up with somebody or doing something over DMs.
What do you mean a taste of their own medicine?
Do you
Who is there?
Do you know how many guys have done that to girls?
Guys have done what to girls?
Just left them hanging or.
Well, women overwhelmingly initiate breakups.
Do they?
And divorce.
Yeah.
Women are more likely to end things than guys.
Yeah.
You gotta fuck up as a chick. Well, not necessarily, but like most guys will stick by you.
Really?
Women are much more likely to end relationships.
Or maybe I just.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can go around the table on this. Then we'll have Allie come in and say her relationship piece. But of the times, so imagine all the guys that in any situation where you've had to say, hey, I don't want to see you anymore, and that could manifest itself either in ghosting where you don't even overtly communicate it. So basically that could be anywhere from after the first date all the way to 1 year, 2 year relationship. So that entire spectrum of the times where there's someone who's not wanting to see the other person, is it more often you or is it more often the guy?
It's more often the guy for me, because usually like
Stop the cap.
Usually for me, like if I'm not happy, like I'll try to work things out, and like sometimes like I tend to kind of like go I tend to like bend over backwards for someone that I like, even if it makes me unhappy.
Yes.
But yeah, and then sometimes like and then they would I don't.
So you've never ended things with a guy?
Well, if it was like a first date thing and it just didn't go well, I would be like, I'm not feeling it. But if like we've been seeing each other for like a bit, usually like he ends it or it's mutual.
Okay, here, we'll continue on. What about you?
I feel like I've had some pretty unique like situationships, friends with benefits type things. My first one, the guy actually was here in my hometown for a hockey. He was playing hockey, And then he was there for like 3 or 4 months. He was the longest one that I mentioned before. And then he ended up leaving because he had to go to another state to play. So that was kind of just mutual. But I was really upset for a good like 20 minutes. I cried. He came to my house, and then I just got over it because I realized he was kind of ugly, but it was okay.
You realized this?
I realized it after he left. I was kind of looking, and I was like, oh, I just did it because he was there. You know, that sounds kind of messed up, but...
You just did it because he was there?
I mean,
and by did it, you mean what?
Got
Occasionally,
with him.
like hooking up occasionally?
A little bit, yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit, okay. And you said he was... You realized 3 months in he was ugly?
No, I realized after. He was a sweet kid, though. It was personality over looks.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. So, but what about, like, think of all the, you said you've had a couple situationships here and there. Who's ending it?
If I'm not feeling it, I will end it.
But okay, so, Cheeks.
Cheeks donated
Thank you, man.
$100.
Appreciate it.
Sorry, skinny mom. The harsh truth is that no real man wants to be with any single moms. They are strictly made for recreational use. Go back to the baby daddy, or daddy guy with kids. Those are your real bets. I'm doing me is sad for your child to see.
Your response to beaten cheeks.
Who beat you as a child?
What the you gotta say that shit into the microphone first
I
off.
said, who beat you as a child?
Who beaten cheeks. She says that you've been beaten as a child. Where did that come from?
Just a name.
Because of the beaten cheeks? I don't think he was spanked. I don't think that's what that name means. I think he's doing the spanking. Beaten
It's a sex joke.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I feel bad.
Oh, that was a joke.
I feel bad for whoever's being spanked on that end.
Okay, cool. So we were talking about you, right? So go ahead. More often than not, who ends things?
It'll usually be me, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but I hate confrontation, so it's kind of like, yeah.
It's kind of like what? Like you do it over text, or
I think it's
ghost?
I think it's more respectful to do it to their face, to tell them that you want to end things. I think so.
I
no
think
one wants to get broken up with over the phone.
Well, I mean, if it's a short period of time, you know, like 9 months, that's a text.
9 months?
9 months is a text.
It's like a pregnancy.
Maybe like a year and a half, then you get a phone call.
A year and a half?
2 years maybe in
Wow.
person.
I disagree, personally.
What?
So like...
Yeah, hard disagree.
No.
Nah, it's got to be text. Well, I mean,
A
look,
text?
you guys can do it however you want. I know, speaking for myself, I would much rather, even if I've been seeing a girl for like 9 months, just send me a text. I don't need the theatrics and the...
Well, you must not really like her then.
Yeah, it depends on the individual.
Nah, I
Does-
can
Why
like-
have you been with them for 9 months if you're okay with being broken up over the phone?
Well, I don't
Because
follow
it sounds
the
like you're
logic there,
wasting
but
your
9 months is an
closer to the mic.
9 months is an incredibly short time to be in a relationship with anybody. Like, I'm actually quite shocked at how dysfunctional this panel is and how nobody can maintain long-term relationships. Brian, I was wondering how old you were, because for men it's different, you know.
I'm 33.
You're 33. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's okay. Like, let me explain, right? So I'm actually pregnant with a girl right now. So I'm having a daughter, and being here is like terrifying because I have to see like the world that my daughter is going to come up in, and I don't want like what you guys are experiencing. I would never want or wish for my daughter. I don't want my daughter to be used by like some guy in high school or like some guy in college, because that's what's going on, because we're talking about dating and situationships. We're giving our bodies to these men, and I don't want her to be used by some guy who could care less. You know, I want her to be able to exercise discernment and have better options. And we can talk about data and statistics along the way. You guys were talking about how one of you was saying that, you know, men leave more. So right now, like Pew Research data just dropped, where 60% of men from 18 to 29, it's not even like they want to date anymore. They're single and they're not looking. So we're dealing with a very small pool of men, which means we need to be wise. But I'm sorry, but I don't think any of y'all know how men work. Because the way that I'm hearing you guys talk, it's like two different worlds. From our perspective, it makes a lot of sense. But we have Brian here, we have the cameraman. Men operate on a completely different spectrum when it comes to relationships. And I'm not an expert, but I do have a YouTube channel. I interview wives on purpose that have been married 20, 30 years, much longer than myself. And I do that so women can get an education, because a lot of this stuff, like, this is just sad and heartbreaking to me. I want nothing but love and hopefully children, if you guys want children too. But it's like a problem. So there's another thing that's coming up too, right? So 45% of women right now from ages, I want to say 25 to 44, they're projected to be single by 2030. Like, we're not dating well. This is scary. I'm concerned for my child. So, I mean, I know not to be all philosophical, but I'm like, holy crap. Also, there's something wrong with California. Like, I highly recommend moving. Like, leave this place.
I agree. I think California guys are possibly not where it's at, but I also find your statement incredibly condescending. Because you just said that we are dysfunctional for not being able to commit to long-term relationships, but then also just said that men are not looking for relationships. And I completely agree. So how is it dysfunctional to not commit yourself and be in a long-term relationship when you can agree that that's also not what guys are looking for, and it's okay to not want to waste your time?
And I just wanted to hop in and say one thing. I think it was a really broad statement for you to say that everyone was dysfunctional. I personally am in a 2-year or about to be 2-year long committed relationship. I have a ring, you know, and I think that it's a broad statement to kind of like put that out, and it was condescending. I think that not only are guys, you know, not as much looking for relationships these days, but I don't think girls are either.
Right. So like that pool of men that I'm talking about, like the 60%, like those are nihilistic men. Right, so then we're talking about like the 40% of men that are looking for relationships, and that's like for the Pew Research data. The other perspective is like where it stands right now, only 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 men is even having sex in the first place.
I'm sorry, is this in America? Like,
yes, this is in America.
Okay, so all
like
of America.
I can show this all to you, like if you guys get curious, because I just like to educate women, because I want you guys to live full lives that I would assume for a lot of women, you guys are looking for this romantic story, this kind of situation where you get to have a man to rely on and you get to have children with him. I'm happy to share all this stuff with you guys.
Why don't we ask them, do you? What do you guys want?
I absolutely do. One day I want the white fence and a husband who comes home, makes most of the money in our house. I don't think I'll ever have a time in my life where I'm not working. I'm a workaholic, but I one day want to be a mom.
Stephen Krug super chatted $99.99. Pregnant lady is so 100% correct. Mind blown. I've been waiting so long for someone to say this. All the women on this show are dysfunctional. This is part of the reason I'm 31 and single and waiting it out for the one to show up who is critical and uses data.
Well, like, okay, to be fair, like, it's not necessarily y'all's fault, and the chat's gonna get mad because this is like a predominantly male audience. I don't think our moms are teaching us how to get men that we are attracted to and how to keep them, and I think that is a huge issue. Like, what did your mothers teach you about dating?
I feel like, in my perspective, I grew up with a single dad who raised me, and I think that is part of the reason why I am in a good relationship and why I kind of know that there are roles in a relationship, and I'm more on the traditional side, and I think that's why I've been able to secure someone who has a really good job, someone who takes care of me, someone who is all about me, you know what I mean? And I do think that I was taught at a young age by my single dad how to be a good girlfriend, because he was maybe so bitter about my mom. So I do understand kind of where you're coming from. I just was trying to say maybe it was a broad statement at first.
Yeah, I made a general statement. Like, here's the thing. What's the definition of a functional relationship? The definition of a functional relationship is one where both of your needs are getting met. I'm not hearing a lot of that from you guys. And that's, so if it's not functional, I mean, you could call it neutral, or you could say, like, and you could argue that it might be dysfunctional. But you guys are all very young. Like, you said you're 20, you said you're 18. Like, I don't expect y'all to know it. But if you guys don't figure out how men are, like, you're gonna get, like, ran up on hard. And then you're gonna have, like, this darkness in your heart, and you're just gonna not want to deal with men at all. And that happens a lot. Like, I'm 28, I'm not old, okay? But, like, you guys probably do think I'm old. But that's really concerning. Like, have you ever seen women on the other side? They're, like, miserable at your family functions and alone.
I want to say, I still think you're being quite condescending, because we said we have not been in a long-term relationship does not mean we don't know what we want. And we don't know what a good relationship looks like.
Beat and Cheeks
Hold on just a sec, guys. Saved by the Bell.
Ladies on the panel, What Allie is saying is only condescending to you because you guys lack the knowledge of life that she has experienced.
Can we pull
She's
up?
trying to help you listen to her. You won't get the white picket fence with a hubby with that entitled attitude.
Okay, Cheeks.
That's
Well-
just how they are. You said you were in. Did you say you were in a relationship?
No.
Okay,
No,
how old are you?
I'm single. I'm 18.
You're 18. Yeah, that's to be expected. I would expect you to be single when you're 18, but I would very much urge and encourage you guys to try to understand the opposite sex better, because if you don't get married by 30, it's very unlikely that you will be married past that. And you could look at it as a perspective of like aging and options, but it also comes down to, I don't know. I think there's also personality differences. I just think it's unlikely that if you're waiting that long to get married, it might not be a priority for you. And not every woman wants to get married, but I would say that that's probably the minority of women, but we're being convinced that that's the majority of women right now. And I'm not sure that that's helpful, right? So like, I would just look past at how my words make you feel, because at the end of the day, I'm going to give birth to a girl. She's going to be a woman. This is just like not what I would want for her. You know what I mean? Because it's not like
What isn't what you would want for her? Waiting for a good guy to come along to commit to, or is your advice hop into a relationship as young as you can to secure a man?
I wouldn't say hop into a relationship like as young as you can, because most women are like honestly the youngest I've seen a woman be aware of like herself and romance is 24, and to know what she wants fully and to know herself, unless you're growing up in a 2-parent traditional religious household. So I wouldn't necessarily send off my daughter to get married at 18 unless that was her personality type, to where she just always wanted long-term relationships, and that's like how she is, right? So, but I would encourage my daughter to get married. I think a lot of women find fulfillment in marriage and children, but it has to be done in a healthy context. Like, I'm kind of confused at why you're upset with me.
I'm not upset. I had an issue with your initial statement. I fully agree. I think that marriage is a serious source of fulfillment, and 2-parent households are what makes the world a better place. You came out and said that we are dysfunctional because we are not in relationships, and then you made it seem like because I'm 18, not in a relationship, I'm never going to get married.
No, that's that. I'm not trying to be mean. Like that's like projection. That's not what I said.
I'm not worried about you being mean. It was your statement. It just didn't make sense.
Right. Okay. So
fully disagreed.
You can disagree, right? But I'm not saying that if you don't get married at 18 that you'll never get married. That's not the statement that I made at all. Right? Like you're making a different argument that wasn't said. I said that it's dysfunctional to let men use your bodies and to be waiting for him for 2 years. I'm not saying that you did. But most women are out there, right? Because we want these guys to like us. Like
so then let's say most women, not you guys.
That's what you're inferring, though. I do.
No, well, you're in a 2-year relationship, so we're not even really talking about you. You figured something out. You grew up with a single dad.
But does that mean that they haven't figured anything out? What I'm saying, though, is I understand that you're not necessarily saying it to them, but you are inferring it with what you're saying. So I do kind of get
as you're staring at us and saying, you guys, and you haven't done this, and you haven't done that.
Right. Well, or you could just like take it with grace.
Hold on. What? Go ahead.
It was just like the fact that, we're pretty young, and we're talking about how we haven't, like our longest relationship is like 2 years, 1.5 years. And you're saying like I'm very like terrified that you guys can't like hold down a, long-term relationship. It's like, we're pretty young. We shouldn't really be in like such long-term relationships at this age. And just the way you're just saying like, I'm worried for my daughter because this is the future she lives in. But it's like, if you're so worried about your daughter, like, wouldn't you be able to teach her how to, do what you want her to do? And because
it's not about what I want her to do.
Okay, but you did say what you wanted her to do. It's like you wanted her to like, kind of, have a fulfilling life, and like that's true. But like, yeah, it's just like I lost my train of thought.
No, I got it. I can explain, right? Okay, so like before the show, we're talking about dating apps. Some of you ladies are on Tinder. Some of you ladies are on Hinge. I actually think Hinge is pretty good. Hinge is pretty cute. I've seen a lot of relationships come off of Hinge. But when we're talking about Tinder, and we're already complaining about the small pool of men that we're having issues with, like if you are a man with malicious intent, or if you are a man who, like let's say he has a proclivity towards sociopathy or narcissism, and he's attractive, he's going to be using Tinder in order to date you guys. Like why would you be on these apps? Like what part of that sounds healthy? Like this is what I'm saying. Like I'm confused.
I just think like we're on like different life stages, because like with me, like, yeah, like dating, it would like add some like, fun to my life. But like for you, it's like, you know, you're like settling down. But I feel like when you're younger, like my age and like everyone's age here, it's like, I'm not here to like settle down at my age. Like I'm not trying to sleep around. I'm not trying to whatever, but it's like, you know, it's like to have like somebody to kind of rely on, not someone to be like, oh, like have my babies. Like, I'm not at that age yet. I'm at like a different stage. You know what I mean? Like I'm just looking for something different right now. And like I'm like focusing on my career. I'm focusing on like school. Like I'm not really focused on like a husband. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So like, but you're saying dating, and a lot of women use the word dating as a euphemism. Like when we talk about situationships, it's often like we're talking about unprotected sex. Like we live in a world that has hormonal birth control. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like you guys don't have to say anything that you're doing behind the scenes, but you know, if we're just dating men and we're not necessarily like giving our bodies to them or we're getting to know them, like that's amazing and that's awesome. But I don't think that that's what most women are doing. And also, I talk to women every day. Like that's what I do. I have a YouTube channel with 145,000 subscribers. My female audience is growing, and it's just because like I really believe in love. But if we set really bad habits by the time we're 30, those are just really hard to break. Your brain is more malleable the closer you, 25 years old and younger. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, like take your time and date, but I wouldn't recommend just like freely giving your body to men. It doesn't make any sense. And the men that are looking for your body to be freely given to them, they're going to be on Tinder.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think any of us said that we're doing that, you know?
I didn't say that you guys said you were. I said I talk to a lot of women every day, and a lot of the times when we use the word dating, we're using it as a euphemism for unprotected sex.
So what's the advice that you give these women? You know, they come to you because I don't think any of us disagree with you. I just think you're talking real fast. I think that, like, I'm curious to know, so let's, you know, I'm going to pretend that I'm a woman, I'm coming to you, I'm 27, I'm on Tinder, I probably go out on a date a week, sometimes go home with the guy. Like, what's your advice for me?
Let me just interrupt really quick, but I'll have Ali come in. Mike, thank you for the Canadian $100. So just a heads up for anyone who's in Canada or Australia, I don't know what the conversion is. If you want to trigger TTS, the conversion, if it's through Super Chat, it has to be converted to 100 USD. So whatever that would be in Canadian, but I'll just read it now just because you probably didn't know. So any Streamlabs donations, if you want to, well, it's all through Streamlabs. So TTS has to be triggered through, the 100 USD, or if you do it on Streamlabs, it's 90 USD. So, Mike, thank you, man. If you act like a 304 while you're waiting for the perfect man to come along, then he may never come. The men who do come,
if I would only need $100,
you hide that there.
I'm 100% with pregnant. But I think the panel's goal is to not diminishing the young girls. These young ladies have been brainwashed by the crappy mainstream ideology for years. I think a softer tone will be better. Otherwise, they will be defensive.
Okay.
I would encourage.
I'm gonna try.
I agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'm so just so y'all know, like a little bit of my history. Grew up in a single mother home. I'm a survivor of child abuse. Don't want these things for my kid, so I actively I work against it. I'm also a veteran. I'm very blunt with my words, and that's also something that I'm known for online. It's just a personality thing, right? It's like if I wanted to be mean, we know how girls could be mean, okay? So I promise I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just a very direct individual. But you said earlier what my advice would be to a woman who's on 27 and who's been on Tinder. My immediate thing is get off of Tinder. Stop doing that stuff. And also when it comes to sexuality, there's this concept of pair bonding. So there are promiscuous people that are happy to smash and pass and they're cool with it, but they're at the extremes of sociosexuality. That's not most people. Most of the men that we sleep with, we probably want relationships with. What do you guys think about that? Right?
Personally, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that?
I agree, yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that men, when they're sleeping with women, do you think most of them want relationships with the women that they're sleeping with, or do you think that they're just trying to get their rocks off?
I think it's 50-50, honestly.
Okay, what do you guys think?
What was the question?
Yeah, sorry, repeat it.
So I was saying that I think that women, because the majority of us are, per David Buss and his work, he's I think an evolutionary psychologist. So most of us are long-term mating strategists, right? Mm-hmm. So most of the guys that we sleep with, we probably want to date. Do you think that most of the men who have access to women that they sleep with, do you think that they want to date those women?
I have dated every single guy I think that I've slept with.
Mm-hmm.
I have like consistently, I mean, it's not always beneficial, but I've like dated around and been exclusive with every single guy that I've ever slept with. I would say it kind of is just the kind of guy you're talking
about it.
It's just kind of the guy you're talking to. It kind of just depends
what
you're looking for and what kind of guy you attract or what kind of guy you go for.
Well, what do you think about like the guys? Like the guys that can sleep with women. Most of the women they sleep with, do you think they want to date them?
I honestly say it depends who you pick. Like, I don't know. I would say in my personal experience, yeah, every guy that I've ever had sex with has wanted to date me.
Okay. Well, I mean, then you're good at picking. What do you guys think about like guys who have access?
No, most guys, they just want to like smash and just go. Like they don't care. Like you're just
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think?
I completely agree. I think generally guys aren't looking for a relationship. At our age, I think that they're really just looking to sleep around, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's right, and just because I think if we sleep with them, I don't think that we're wrong, but I think it's more of the guy's fault. Like a girl can be wanting to completely date a guy and sleep with them, but that doesn't mean the same for the guy. Honestly, I don't want to keep saying situationships, but I've had relationships with people where I'm way more into it than the guy, which is sad, but I guess I don't know, it's whatever. But I think guys are more looking to sleep around, definitely in college.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking probably 90% of single guys, sex is just, a physical act that feels good. Whereas for women, it's an emotional, me, it's a spiritual, like it's a deep thing. It's a sacred thing. I think it's the most intimate thing you can do with another person other than, feel love for each other in a different way. But yeah, no, I think that the majority of dudes do not value the act of sex the way that women do.
Well, that's a pretty profound thing, what you just said. I mean,
which part?
Well, what you just said.
Okay.
In terms of how you value sex, I think probably I would say even a lot of people your age would not say that.
Absolutely.
So
I think that thank you. I think that it is so wrong in today's not only media, but just our culture, the whole, sexual freedom and sexual revolution. Like there's certainly, positive sides to what that has done. It's, I don't necessarily think slut shaming in any way is good. I think that we live in America, which is the biggest gift any of us could have. And we all have the freedom to do whatever we like. But I believe that, valuing yourself and your body is, more important than anything.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. So so the problem with if we get caught up, right, in being convinced that we're short-term mating strategists, which is like the small pool of men and women who can smash and pass and they're content, if we get convinced that we're actually long-term mating strategists, like we might end up alone from bad habits. You see what I'm saying? So like that's why I would tell that 27-year-old who says like I'm on the apps, first thing, you need to get rid of it. You need to stop having promiscuous